There's another story, and I think, Chewie, this is a little bit you're in my bag, but it's another, we're just going to continue to highlight these. Remember, we will judge this government by the standards they set for themselves. And as they are running away from stories and promises again and again and again, here's another one. National's quiet U-turn on the 250-ish million EV charger pledge. Once vowing to build 9,000 EV chargers, Prime Minister Christopher Luxon's government has so far delivered less than half of the cash and chargers. So what that means is half of the cash and chargers needed this year to reach that target by 2030. It's a bit like the police all over again. You know, what was it? We needed like 30 a month. And for the past 3 months, there'd been 5 combined, like 5 people over 3 months. On the campaign trail, Luxon pledged that EV drivers would be able to plug in at, quote, 10,000 public ports across the country by 2030. His government would provide funding of, $250 million? Is that what it is? But this year, the government reduced pre-allocated funding while installations fell below suggested targets. The Labour government left behind a pot of $105 million for EV infrastructure. This year's budget reduced that, and they just whipped 10 million out of that, but 10 million. And while officials estimated that 670 chargers would need to be were needed this year to meet National's target, less than 300 chargers have been installed. Funding 521 charge points had been approved this year, said Transport Minister Simi. I like how it says have been approved. Does that mean actually implemented or just approved? Bit of difference. To maintain a reasonable ratio of chargers to electric cars, officials say 520 points should be installed next year and 720 in 2026, rising to more than 3,000 new plugs in 2030. The current public charging system is more sparse than networks in Australia. Australia! Think about the waste of space between Australian cities, and we're more sparse than Australia, the UK and China. Before the election, Luxon laid the blame on his political opponents, saying under the Labour government, investment in public EV infrastructure has not kept pace with the rising number of EVs. So you know what they did, Chewie? They solved the problem by driving literally the number of EV purchases off the cliff. So now, rather than 17,000, whatever it was, it's 3,000 that we talked about last week. Now we can go, well, look at the ratio. It's much better because they're only selling, a quarter as many new EVs because of the rules that this government has implemented. New Zealand has the fewest public chargers per electric vehicle in the OECD. Luxon promised to unleash the transition to an electric transport system by investing in EV infrastructure and cutting red tape to deliver more chargers in more places, more quickly and more cheaply. What you call that, Chewie, is more bullshit. Sean Dick, of electric vehicle advocacy group Better New Zealand, thought the government was never serious about delivering its campaign promise, as you said, Chewie. They're using what Labour had promised anyway. They're not providing anything and they're cutting it right back, he said. Minister Brown said the government retains its goal. This is the gaslighting we were talking about earlier. Remember, we're going to hit our police numbers. They say after they're told over 3 months, 5 new officers rather than about 100 that they needed, right? We're still going to hit it. They told you about smoking, world effective smoking bans in New Zealand that was going to drive our numbers down. They cancelled them and they're standing there saying, we will hit the same targets. And now Simeon Brown is saying we will retain the goal of 10,000 charges by 2030, but he would not answer about the 257 million in promised funding. So it's just gaslighting. He's standing there saying, we're still going to do it. And you go, can you show us how? And he goes, no, but we're still going to do it. It's the dictionary definition of gaslighting. Last little sentence, Chewie, because this is one thing that's kind of terrifying, but you get in bed with the devil. In coalition talks, ACT secured an agreement that any funding for EV chargers be subject to robust cost-benefit analysis. The tool to maximise private investment has not yet been finalised. Minister Brown confirmed to Stuff. So of course they do, ACT got their little hairy fingers in there, and they're now able to do a robust cost-benefit analysis. And maybe, Chewie, to be honest, the declining sales of EVs, maybe that robust cost-benefit analysis can be made to look like it's okay. But what they promised us was an additional 9,000 chargers, and they're not going to deliver it.
I call
it. Do you know what an EV is? It's an electric vehicle. They're vehicles that it's like you go to the front of it and you wind it up like you do those radios, and then you can drive for a while. That's an EV.
My EV takes 1,456 D-sized batteries. It takes a long time to buy those all individually at the supermarket.
Energizer, bro.
Look, I called this. You can go back, check the tape if you like. I called it when they announced it. The numbers, the money didn't add up. Because what those charges are, they make it sound like, you've got to conquer range anxiety. You've got to make sure that people can charge in every little town that they're going through on a big road trip, all of that sort of stuff. The money did not make sense with how many charges Luxon was talking about, because those bigger transit charges are expensive. The only way that those numbers made sense is if they were destination charges, the ones you find in malls and supermarkets, the slow ones.
Right.
That was the only way it ever worked. And so his announcement, for anybody that knew anything about this, was so fucking transparently wrong that I think we said that on the day that the math didn't add up. And that might as well be their slogan. Like national, the math just doesn't matter.
So
28,500
per charger. That's 257 million divided by 9,000, 28,555. Is that like that's an inexpensive public charger?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Like that one at Timaru that we both use, that's like the full 200 kilowatts. Is that like $100,000 charger sort of thing?
Yeah, well, you think about it, you could have had the big transformer behind it and all of that sort of thing. So, like whenever you see these new chargers going in, I know ChargeNet is going on a binge. What is offsetting the price for them to do that is some government chip-in funding.
Right.
Yes, ChargeNet is a business. Z is a business. All of these places there's a business case for chargers.
Yeah.
But this is a problem, is that Luxon quite rightly identified that we had a very low amount of charges per electric vehicle. He identified the problem correctly and then lied to us. And it hasn't got better. Like, that's worth just 6% of the national fleet of EVs. He identified other countries. I'm glad that he mentioned the UK. I saw a stat. Do you know? Okay, so we're at 6% of the national fleet is electrified. Okay. What do you think the UK's is as a percentage?
Well, it must be more because I know by 2030 they're only going to be selling EVs. So what, I don't know, 20?
36%.
Wow,
of the British national fleet.
Are you saying that's what's on the road, or they're of new sales?
No, that's what's on the road.
Wow. So basically, if you're at the lights with 10 cars, 3 of them are EVs.
Yep.
Wow.
And this is the thing: is like there's no forward thinking. Like, this is the way. Like, it's not we don't know if electric is going to be the future.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
because
hang on.
Like, people keep on talking about hydrogen. How many hydrogen cars have you found?
It's actually
hydrogen filling stations. No,
it's not the future. It's actually the present.
It's fucking now. Yes.
Yeah, it's the present. I mean, now that we've got the range and the price to be, it always worked, but to be even more comfortable for people, it's actually the present. It's not the future. It's now. It's today.
JC, the Pigeon Cats raises an interesting point. Yeah, 90% plus. I think that's new sales at this point, because they have, Norway makes a lot of money out of oil and gas and that sort of thing, but they have poured all of their substantial royalties into electrifying their country. That's something we couldn't do here either. Like, we won't stand up to these exploration companies and demand a huge royalty, which they will clearly pay in other parts of the country because we're too soft. Please come and exploit us. But yeah, China is fully gone in on electrification. They're turning their deserts into solar farms. They have all of their major auto manufacturers are battery. They're all battery, and they're all revolutionizing how batteries work and their energy density to the point where Tesla is getting their batteries from BYD. It's fucking crazy. But again, this government that we have do not have the ability to think in those terms. They can't think that far down the track. They can't get us ready for the future that is here.
There you go.
And for everybody, because I've seen this in the comments of various stories about this, right, is that our grid can't handle it. Somehow our grid can handle a massive Microsoft data center that would consume more energy basically on a daily basis than doubling or tripling our EV fleet.
So this is basically new car sales. Norway 90%, Iceland 64%, Sweden 60%, Finland 50%. Do you think those Scandinavian countries that always get to the top of all the lists for good living have got something sorted out here? Denmark 46, Finland 54, Netherlands 44, Belgium 41, China 37, but obviously it also means they have the most sales. Look at that. 7.8 million in stock, 3.3 million in sales. The next closest was the United States. So China's 3 times the size, but it's 6 times the size in sales. So even proportionally, it's still kicking ass. Where are we? We'll keep going down. Can we see us anywhere?
Oh, no, we're further up because it hasn't got 2024.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, look at that.
So we look all right there.
Thanks, Labour.
2024.
Yeah, thanks, Labour. Isn't that interesting?
2024.
Because you might see, and I'm just spitballing, that they're all kind of going to be going up, 58. Yep, they're all sort of trending up. And then we're going to go trending up. No. I wonder if that'll also be the change people want around the world. EVs will start trending down based on change of governments.